Medusa, African origins reveal. The original story of Medusa, the sea goddess of life, death, and rebirth. Medusa, her name conjures images of stone cold stares and serpentine hair. A monster, they call her, a creature of fear and loathing. But this was not always her truth. Today, we journey beyond the distortions of the Greek myth to uncover Medusa's forgotten origins, her roots as a primordial sea goddess, a guardian of life, death, and rebirth, and an embodiment of feminine power long before the patriarchal lens cast her into shadow. This is not the story of a monster. This is the story of a goddess, a protector, a queen, a force of sacred transformation. When most people hear the name Medusa, they think of a monster, a woman with snakes for hair, a gaze that could turn men into stone, a villain to be slain by a so called hero. But today, we're going to shatter that lie because Medusa was not a monster. She was a goddess, a primordial, powerful, dark feminine force whose roots trace back not to Greece, but to Africa. Today, we reclaim the true story of Medusa, the sea goddess of life, death, and rebirth, the only one they feared because they could never control her. Welcome back to the Dark Mother Mysteries, a sanctuary for those who dare to explore the forbidden, the hidden, and the transformative realms of the dark divine feminine. Who am I? I am Shadow Moon, priestess, oracle, and the head mistress of this channel. And it is my honor to guide you through the mysteries of the feminine. This is not the space for love and light. It is for those called to the shadows, to the truths that patriarchy tried to bury, and to the sacred power that women are reclaiming. If you are ready to rise, to reclaim your power, your story, and the divine truth within you, this is your portal. Subscribe now, share this video, and join me as we journey into the depths of feminine wisdom and transformation. Lesson 1: Medusa's forgotten origins as a primordial sea goddess. Long before the Greeks appropriated her image, Medusa existed in the ancient cosmologies of Africa. She was no monster. She was a divine figure, a powerful black goddess whose serpentine crown symbolized wisdom, protection, and life force energy. In her earliest forms, Medusa was deeply connected to the ocean, the moon, and the mysteries of the feminine psyche. Even the Greeks, in their earliest accounts, admitted Medusa's origins. Her story begins in Libya, in North Africa, a land of dark skinned priestesses and ancient wisdom. The Greek historian Herodotus referred to the gods themselves as having been stolen from the Ethiopians, revealing a hidden truth that Western mythology often seeks to obscure. Medusa, in her original form, would have been a beautiful, majestic black woman, her locks a crown of divine power, her presence a symbol of sovereignty. Before the Greeks twisted her story, Medusa was known across Africa, especially in ancient Libya, as a sacred sea serpent, a goddess of the primal waters. In early traditions, she wasn't seen as a monster at all. She was a dark skinned priestess, radiant and sovereign, with long flowing locks or serpent like hair representing wisdom, rebirth, and divine energy. Medusa's name itself comes from the Greek word Medine, meaning to protect, to rule over. She was not a creature of chaos. She was a protector of sacred mysteries, a bridge between the realms of life, death, and rebirth. Lesson 2: the sacred symbolism of the ocean in feminine mysteries. The ocean has always been a symbol of the divine feminine, and is vast, mysterious, untamable. It births life, it swallows death, it holds the deepest secrets of creation itself. In ancient cosmologies, the ocean represented the womb of life, where all life forms begin, the unconscious, the place of intuition, emotion, and psychic truth, primordial chaos and renewal, the cycles of destruction and rebirth that govern all life. The ocean, like the feminine, is vast, deep, and untamable. It is the womb of life, the cradle of creation, and the force of emotional depth and primordial chaos. To the ancients, the sea symbolized the unconscious, the unknown, and the sacred cycles of life and death. Medusa, as a sea goddess, guarded these mysteries. She ruled over the liminal spaces between life and death, between the conscious and unconscious. She was a protector of the sacred feminine and the power it wields, power that patriarchy sought to distort and control. Medusa was not simply a goddess of the sea, she was the living embodiment of the mysteries that connect all beings to the pulse of life itself. Lesson 3: How the sea serpent represents emotion, death, rebirth, and power. To understand Medusa is to understand the ancient feminine mysteries of the sea. The sea represents emotion. The deep waters mirror our emotions, unpredictable, powerful, and life sustaining. The sea also represents death. Just as the sea can calm life, so can the dark feminine call endings that lead to new cycles. The sea represents rebirth. From death and dissolution in the depths, the new life emerges, cleansed, renewed, and transformed. It represents power. The ocean's force cannot be controlled, only respected, just like the sacred feminine spirit. In African cosmology, the serpent, so central to Medusa's identity, is not evil, far from it. The serpent represents life, death, rebirth, and wisdom. It is a guardian of the feminine mysteries, embodying the cycles of nature and the alchemical power of transformation. Medusa's dreadlock or serpentine hair mirrored the coil energy of the Kundalini, a sacred force of renewal and transformation, revered in African spiritual traditions. The Greeks, however, reinterpreted the serpent's symbolism to serve their narrative of control and suppression, twisting Medusa into a figure of fear rather than reverence. Because sea goddesses and the mysteries they represent posed a threat to the patriarchal order. Lesson 4: Why patriarchy feared and distorted the sea goddesses. Her name itself reveals her purpose. The Greek word Medane means to protect, to rule. Medusa was a protector, not a monster. She safeguarded the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth, offering her wisdom to those brave enough to seek her truth. Yet the Greeks, threatened by the untamed power of the feminine, transformed her story. They made her a monster to justify her slaying by Perseus, a hero of the patriarchal order. In doing so, they sought to subjugate the very essence of feminine sovereignty that Medusa represents. Because you cannot chain the ocean, you cannot own the tides, and you cannot truly conquer the divine feminine. Patriarchy demonized oceans, women mysteries, and feminine power. They could not tame the sacred feminine, so they twisted its image. Lesson 5: Medusa's reclamation is your reclamation. Medusa's story is not just about her, it's about us, each and every woman who has ever felt demonized for her strength, misunderstood for her emotions, or silenced for her power. When we when we reclaim the truth of Medusa, we also reclaim the truth of ourselves. Her story reminds us that what society fears most in us is not weakness, it is our unyielding, untamed essence. Just as Medusa was stripped of her divinity and painted as a monster, many of us has been taught to hide the parts of ourselves that others deem too much, too bold, too loud, too fierce, or too emotional. but the very parts of us that were suppressed or shamed, like our passion, our boundaries, our unapologetic presence, are where our true power lies. And just like Medusa's true essence was never lost, neither is yours. It has always been with you, waiting to be reclaimed. Reclaiming Medusa means reclaiming the parts of yourself that patriarchy, fear, or trauma tried to erase. It means looking into your own mirror, not to see a monster, but to see your own divine reflection. This is your reclamation, to see yourself as whole, worthy, and sovereign. To say, I am not here to please or conform. I am here to rule my own truth. And this reclamation is not just for one woman, one culture, or one story. It is for all women who seek to rise above the labels that have been placed upon them. Medusa's gaze, her unwavering presence, teaches us that we do not need to shrink ourselves for the world. We need only to stand in our truth, knowing that we are protectors of sacred power, guardians of our boundaries, and rulers of our own lives. When you honor Medusa, you honor the sacred rebel within yourself. When you reclaim Medusa, you reclaim the right to live unapologetically, to love deeply, and to transform fear into awe. Medusa's reclamation is your reclamation. Her story is your story. Her power is your power. And together, we all rise. Medusa's story does not end in stone. Today, we reclaim her truth. We honor her as the original dark goddess of the sea, a symbol of primal feminine power and transformation. Through her, we are reminded that the sacred feminine cannot be silenced and cannot be conquered. Like the ocean she represents, it will always rise. So as you leave today, take Medusa's wisdom with you. Carry her strength, her sovereignty, and her untamed essence into your own life. Reclaim the parts of yourself that have been hidden, shamed, or silenced. Stand tall in your power, knowing that you too are a guardian of deep mysteries and a force of transformation. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the realms of the divine feminine. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe so you don't miss the next step on the path. As always, I am Shadow Moon, priestess, oracle, and head mistress of the Dark Mother Mystery School. Class is dismissed.